Today I'm mixing up a strange brew. Hi everybody, and a warm welcome back to MapleLeaf Customs in Switzerland. I'm Andrew, and on the bench today is this 64 Corvette Stingray, along with several other castings from my collection of potential customs. Here's the sacred Porsche Carrera. I'm pulling out a bunch of cars. These pretty well all have something in common in that they're predominantly white. That's one important criteria, as I'm going to be subjecting them to a mad scientist experiment. Not really. But I do want to try something new for me, and that's dyeing die-cast cars to a different color, as an alternative to painting them in the traditional way. These last two are different. The 959 has a funky silver plastic finish on it, and this Ferrari Maranello is a premium with a very rich gloss coat over a metallic silver. I just picked up this Maserati the other day over in Germany, never even seen it before. Alright, I'll throw that into the mix. Cool little racer. There's the second Corvette. It's a Grand Sport Roadster. I chose this one because it's got a few tampos on it and I want to see what happens to them under the dye treatment. One more. It's a Lambo Sesto Elemento. All white, and this one has got some red highlights. I want to see what happens to the red tampos on this. All experimental today. Here's the Rit Dye More synthetic dye that I'm going to be using. I got two colors. This is Racing Red and Sapphire Blue. They've got a ton of colors to choose from. The first step is to separate the bodies from the chassis, interiors, glass, and wheels, which I don't want to dye. Just the bodies are taking the plunge today. I'll also take time to drill out the posts and put a couple of screws in there. I'm most interested in this one, as it's plastic and has this graphic design etched into the body. The Beetle's got some tampos, as does the Lambo. We'll want to keep an eye on those. And that's Team Red. Team Blue features some blue tampos, like the Carrera and the Grand Sport Corvette, as well as these little ones in front of the door. What will happen to the color of them? There's the Maserati. I suspect those white rondo circles are going to end up blue, and I wonder what will happen to this nice premium finish on the Maranello. Today's video was a bit of a diversion from what I normally do, which is most often full custom jobs or restorations on the little cars. So you can look for these and upcoming Saturday uploads. Same day of the week and same time that you can set your clock by. A thumbs up for this video helps me the most. Now I know what you're thinking with today's video. Andrew, you must be some kind of genius to think this up. Well, it's not my idea. In my last Porsche Invitational, two different participants Jody Sims and Charles Diecast Garage submitted these dyed cars, which came out fantastically well, and I was immediately hooked, and then found out there are some how-to videos that are 14 years old on YouTube. So, upholding my reputation for cutting-edge innovation, I'm finally experimenting with it myself. I waited till my wife went out shopping so I could have the kitchen. I did watch a lot of how-to videos and kind of came up with my own steps here. I boiled a kettle with a half a liter of water, let it cool in this stainless steel bowl for 4 minutes or so, and added a 1:4 ratio of the dye, plus a couple of drops of dish soap, which seemed to be a common thread in all the recipes. Then I made the tactical error of stirring it with one of Petra's good spoons, thinking I've ruined it and I'm dead. Thankfully, it rinsed right off, no problem. Dodged a bullet with that one. In go the first 4 cars. Notice there's just enough water-dye mix to cover them completely. They sink right down to the bottom. Number 4. I'll leave them in there undisturbed for 30 minutes. Today's community shout-out goes to gus.die.cast on Instagram, and I'd sure be happy if you'd follow the link I left in the description to check out his good work. Thanks for doing that. The water in my bowl has cooled over 30 minutes, being off of the stovetop. It's still quite warm, it's not cold. You can see a little bit of dye rinses off, but doesn't harm what has permeated the castings. We'll get up close and personal with all 8 cars in just a moment. Time to go all blue. Same amount of water, half a liter, same temperature, same dye to water ratio, with a drizzle of dish soap, because I didn't feel I needed to change anything. In with the next 4 guinea pigs. Try to place them so they're not touching each other inside of the bowl. I set my timer for 30 minutes again because that seemed to work well in round 1. And the Sapphire blue looks pretty good. Try not to scratch them with the hemostats as I fish them out. I check to make sure the coast is clear. I'm still home alone, so I can dump that whole bowl into the sink, rinse away all evidence immediately. Really does clean up well. And there are my 8 cars. Let's have a closer look. The Beetle is first, and it looks like the hippie graphics on it survived. They're not covered by the dye job. The blue and the black survived the dunking on the Corvette Grand Sport, and those side decals were not affected at all. That's something I wanted to know about. The black dots are still black on the Stingray. It's not a candy color red that I was hoping for, but remember, this is over white, not chrome or silver. The metallic shows through the sapphire blue on the Maranello. And look at the hood badge, still yellow and black. And the taillights and the white prancing horse, unaffected by the dye job. This was the one I was interested to see what would happen to. It's all plastic, but the dye adhered to it perfectly. That's got the nicest reflective finish on it because of the car itself. You know what? That's not really far off the blue that's in the Porsche color palette. Say what you will about the particular colors, they look like factory paint jobs. I'm impressed by that. But I did lose the red highlights on the Lambo. So some of these cars would require further detailing, in my opinion, if you were going to make full customs out of them. This video is just about the dyeing process. As I thought, the white rondo circles are now blue, so that's something that would have to be changed as well. I'm putting all 8 of them back together now with no changes except for the chassis on this one, which needed a quick buffing up. And I've chosen 4 that I think are my favorites out of this experiment. This 959 is one of them, and the Ferrari 550 Maranello. Both of them were a surprise to me. The original Hot Wheels details are as sharp as before the dyeing. I didn't expect that. As you look at the before and after pics of just my 4 favorites, which again would need more custom work, which I may revisit in the future, I would say I'm impressed with the complete coverage that the dye job did, and the quality of them. There's no runs or drips. Caught all the crevices, nooks and crannies. I was more impressed with the orange, yellow, and purple cars that I'd seen done on YouTube. The racing red and sapphire blue let me down a bit. I was hoping for more of a candy finish. Nothing to write home about, honestly, but it was a fun experiment, and I may finish off these 4. So thanks for watching me mess around in the kitchen. No telling my wife, please. And I invite you back. Drive carefully. It's coffee time.